The back end of a crypto bull market is wild. All the tech stocks have been ripping higher. It's been a really easy trade, while crypto's just been choppier.
Listen, we had a huge run in some ways, and crypto is about narrative and flow, right? And so what's the story? You had a great Bitcoin story for a while, and then it kind of ran into selling. I mean, we sold 9 billion ourselves for one client. Like,
I know, with almost no impact, bizarrely.
But that swallowed all that treasury company buying.
Yeah.
And so without that 9 billion, you're probably significantly higher, and so that's why we all hold out hope for that one last.
The famous banana zone.
Today, crypto executives met with senators on Capitol Hill to discuss the latest digital assets bill, one that could trigger a massive acceleration in Bitcoin and the broader crypto market. Many are predicting strong bullish momentum and potential new all-time highs in the final months of 2025. As this momentum builds, institutions are quietly positioning themselves. Raoul and Mike Novogratz say the next bull market is about to change everything, with crypto and technology expected to be the top investment sectors this year. Both remain bullish on digital asset. Executives from Real Vision and Galaxy Digital provide their portfolio updates and explain why the next phase of the crypto cycle is critical. They anticipate massive capital inflows in 2025, with major pension funds and institutional investors joining the market. Raoul predicts that crypto is on track to become a $10 trillion digital asset class. He believes this cycle will stand apart from previous ones, as devalued fiat currencies drive wider adoption and unprecedented capital into the crypto space. Let's dive into the latest interview with Raoul and Mike Novogratz as they share their market predictions for the coming days and weeks. President Trump just opened the door for 401k funds to invest in crypto, unlocking a nearly $9 trillion market. That means millions of Americans can now put retirement savings into digital assets, and you can start today. If you have an old 401k or employer plan sitting in boring stocks or bonds, roll it over into a crypto IRA with ITrust Capital and position yourself for the crypto boom that's building now. With ITrust Capital, you can buy, sell, and hold crypto 24/7 with top-tier security and enjoy the tax advantages of an IRA, no capital gains taxes like regular exchanges. Plus, they offer the lowest fees in the industry. Open an account today with promo code DOSE7 for a $100 funding bonus. Over 10,000 5-star reviews. They'll help you roll over your funds quickly and easily. Don't wait, beat the crowd.
Crypto's like the world's biggest casino and there's almost no interference now. But first, you and I need to talk macro, because that's how we always start. So, what are you thinking?
We're in such a weird space. The economy is growing pretty strong. And you've got a Fed that broadly said we think the economy is going to be a little stronger and inflation is going to be a little higher, but we think we should be cutting rates. That's why gold is at the all-time high. Bitcoin's at the all-time high. It's a funny world out there. There's a president who is just dead set on picking a Fed chair that wants to cut rates. There's a huge amount of debt that needs to get financed, and so lower the financing cost helps with the deficit.
Although they kind of lose the control of the long end doing that. Well, Japan certainly has, hasn't it?
Japan certainly has. The U.S. is actually the flattest curve of the three.
Yeah.
They're issuing a lot of bills, not a lot of long end. And at one point, that ratio's got to shift, or it doesn't. And so every single person I know is nervous. And it's funny that, macro, you've made money this year if you just stayed in the trades. Beginning of the year, you say, got to be long gold, long silver, long commodities, long the curve, and probably long stocks. And guess what? Oh, and short the dollar. Every one of those trades has worked. So you look at a company like Bridgewater, who are too big to move. Ben Meltman over there right now, they're up 26%. Ben would have traded himself into a paper bag with all the Trump stuff, but that whole group.
Ben's at Bridgewater now?
Ben's at Bridgewater. He's the deputy CIO. He's got a big job.
And I didn't know that.
What a perfect place for a guy that calls him well and might overtrade him. If you can't overtrade, it's been a pretty easy. Most of my other macro friends, their performance is anywhere from flat to up single digits in one of the great macro years, because all the Trump stuff with the tariffs, with the slow, has just shaken people out of what were their predictions early on in the
And
year.
also, Scott, who you know as well, has made it pretty clear what they want to do. They've just basically said, he's basically said, I want a weaker dollar. I want to get rates down because I need to refinance the debt, which is a rare thing for them to actually admit what they're doing. And we're going to jam the bills in the meantime. And they're kind of debasing the currency. And he's made it very clear what the trade is. And people just got freaked out by all of the political stuff.
Yeah. And listen, we're a very strange time politically in our country, right? You know, the administration, I went to the inauguration, and in the big inaugural ball where everyone was there, the president said, guys, we're going to do more in 100 days than any administration's done in 40 years. And we're going to just hit them and hit them and hit them and hit them. And that's exactly what they've done. They are moving at lightning speed on so many fronts that the opposition doesn't know what to do, but the markets feel like in chaos. I mean, the downside of it is you are undermining a lot of the great institutions in America. If it's the military, or the Department of Justice, or the Fed, or the FBI. And some of that needed to be cleaned out, but you are now really, I think, you know, not cutting out the scar like the virus is, you're cutting through the bone. And that's scary. And I think the market doesn't like that. And the polls don't like that. And so we'll see what, you know, when you run into midterms.
And the other thing is, like, growth is weird as well, because we've got, like, CapEx growth because of the data centers, which we'll come on to, is exploding. So we've got the fixed asset investment side going up, but Main Street is pretty dead because of rates. So I can see this kind of dichotomy they've got going on.
I was out to dinner last night with it was a group dinner, but one of Scott's top lieutenants was there, and it was interesting. They see the same thing. They're like, growth is fine. You know, a lot of CapEx, not just in data center, but CapEx across the board. But unemployment, you know, but the labor statistics are harder to also get your arms around because you're pushing all the foreigners out, right? All the immigrants out. And so like in construction, you know, were they on record or not on record? Messy numbers, but it certainly feels like you've got softness in the labor market. That's why they want to cut rates. But you got a pretty strong economy, right? And the second quarter was really strong, and the third quarter looked pretty strong. And so it's a very, you know, I mean, in some ways it's a long equities, long gold, long risk asset market.
That's right.
Raoul says this is the fastest adoption of any investable asset in human history. By the end of 2025, there are expected to be 1.1 billion active crypto wallet. The growth is staggering, and it could mark the fastest accumulation of wealth we've ever seen. Based on a career's worth of research, every chart and analysis points to the same conclusion. Liquidity drives everything, and crypto is set to be the top-performing asset. Raoul has been emphasizing to investors for months that all the key factors are now aligning, setting the stage for parabolic upward moves in crypto prices.
It seems pretty clear from that, and I don't see many major risks on the horizon yet.
Well, the only question is it's become so consensus that, I mean, you saw Paul Jones went on TV yesterday, and I love Paul, and he was like, that's it, we're going to melt up into year end, right? Sometimes those calls become, the great butt of jokes later on in life. You're like, the great thing about Paul, he'll say it and he'll be stopped out by tomorrow.
I know. You never listen to anything he says, as you know. He's got a 3-second time horizon on everything he does. It's like,
well, he is often, the most disciplined guy I know. And that's why I think he's 35 years of trading, and 1 year in his own account, he was down like 72 basis points in 35 years. Like, that's discipline. Don't lose your money, you get rich, right? It's shocking how many people have a few good years and they're like, oh, I had that one down 30. And I was like, what? And one down 30 takes a 45 just to get back to break even, right? And so your Sharpe ratio, one bad year crushes your Sharpe ratio.
So listen, why has crypto been heavy, you think, versus equities? I mean, all the tech stocks have been ripping higher. It's been a really easy trade. well, crypto's just been choppier.
Yeah, listen, we had a huge run in some ways.
Yeah.
And crypto is about narrative and flow, right? And so what's the story? You had a great Bitcoin story for a while, and then it kind of ran into selling. I mean, we sold 9 billion ourselves for one client. Like,
I know, with almost no impact, bizarrely.
But that swallowed all that treasury company buying.
Yeah.
And so without that 9 billion, you're probably significantly higher. Right? Remember, prices are set on the margin. And I think there were a lot of people in the Bitcoin world that had rode this so long that finally decided, I want to buy something. I'm not going to sell all my Bitcoin, but I got a friend that bought a yacht, a friend that bought part of a sports team, and so people trimming because it had been a great run, you're just digesting that turnover.
And do you think that's the main supply has been old OGs plus miners and stuff like that? Is that the 100%. Main supply, you think?
That's the only supply we've seen. And the other piece has been, remember, Ethereum was dead, and then all of a sudden you've got the Genius Act plus Tom Lee and Joe Lubin with their DATs, and it became a buying machine. And so ETH had a spectacular run in the last, 2.5 months. But that's, you go from 1,800 or 1,600 all the way to 3,800. That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
And so, on the year, these things are up, 30%, 32%. Not stunning. Good year.
But usually it's back end loaded as well, almost every time.
And so that's the question listen, if you looked at the normal 4-year cycle, you'd be lightening up and you'd be getting flat into Christmas. Like, what could be different? Dangerous freaking words. It's different this time. There are two things that could be different. We are going to pass a market structure bill, and that plus Genius is going to allow, at one point Apple's going to have stable coins on their iPhone. Like, there's no excuses anymore that there's regulation around what's a commodity and what's a security and the SEC saying, we want you to be on chain. And so I think there's an acceleration of the existing giant players in consumer and financial markets getting into crypto. We are going to see tokenized stuff, probably starting with tokenized equities and mortgages and everything else. That's good for the narrative of all these level 1, L1 chains. You also have a president who says, I'm going to pick a dove. And we are risking Fed independence. Again,
did we really have independence, though? Honestly, I don't think we did. I mean, from yelling to go from one to the other kind of shows that it's all one thing now. I thought that was the dumbest move a president had done, is taking a Fed governor and making the Secretary of Treasury. Literally, I thought it was the dumbest thing. I said that over and over. But Chairman Powell's his own guy. And so I do think there's Fed independence. And what's coming out of this regulation? Do you have any wind of that yet? When it's going to come?
I think they're two different approaches, but you're going to broadly, I think, say that 20% threshold of ownership is decentralized. And if you're under 20, open source code, a few other things, that's a commodity, and it'll be CFTC regulated. And the rest will be security. What's more interesting, I guess, is once you know that, like, where security tokens can trade, and are there going to be different levels? Are you going to have to go through the whole SEC process to become a security token? And is that going to be easier than it used to be?
Raoul Pal emphasizes that market pullbacks are normal and necessary, serving to flush out weak hands and reset leverage. He points out Bitcoin's strong correlation with global liquidity, which continues to support the market even during temporary dip. Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan echoes this view, noting the historical dip-then-rip pattern, where sharp pullbacks are typically followed by rallies of up to 190%. Both stress that patience, not panic, is key, and that the so-called banana zone is alive, just misunderstood. As momentum builds and institutions quietly position themselves, Powell says everything is about to change. He considers the next phase of the crypto cycle critical and is making significant portfolio bets on crypto and technology, which are expected to be the top investments this year. Having increased his position size during the last bear market, Powell remains bullish on digital assets and predicts massive capital inflows in the coming cycle, with major pension funds and institutional investors joining in. He projects that crypto could become a $10 trillion digital asset class. Powell believes this cycle will differ from previous ones, as devalued fiat currencies drive wider adoption and unprecedented capital into the market. Bitcoin, in particular, is poised for an unprecedented price milestone, potentially creating a financial tidal wave that propels crypto to new highs. While market volatility from tariffs and recession fears could create short-term pressure, Powell says a major rally is on the horizon, with Bitcoin likely to surge alongside a market recovery. The bottom line: patience and strategic positioning now could lead to significant gains as the next bull market unfolds.
For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.